All right, lesson 11.8, graphing in the coordinate plane. The coordinate plane, yeah, that's what this guy is. I'm sure you've seen this before. The coordinate plane is this guy. I want you to notice something, though. There's something about this that you need to see. That you've been dealing with the coordinate plane at least a little bit since kindergarten. All this thing right here, all that guy is what? That's, in fact, it's not just a line, it's the number line that you've been dealing with, right? Technically, since kindergarten, you've only been dealing with that. Right? Starts at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then just here in these last few days, I've gotten you to where you at least should be pretty comfortable with that, the number line, right? Where you now go into the -1, -2, -3, -4, right? It goes on forever. That's the number line. That's the number line we've been talking about. This right here is also a number line. The center, what is that? The center right there is, in fact, 0, right? That's 0. Right? And it's 0 for this guy too. It's 0 for that guy too. And what do you think? As we go up, what do you think happens to the numbers? They go higher, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As I go down, it goes like what? -1, -2, -3, -4, right? How many of you have seen the coordinate plane before? I think you did this a little bit last year, right? Okay. I think you did do it a little bit last year. Anyway, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. This guy right here, this line, that number line is called the x-axis, right? It's the x-axis. That's what you've been dealing with your whole life, is the x-axis, okay? This guy right here is called the y-axis, okay? That guy's called the y-axis. You just have to memorize this. X-axis is the horizontal line, and the y-axis is the vertical line. Okay? The center, that point right there, the center, where both those two axes meet, that is called the origin. Okay? That is called the origin. Are you following me so far? Okay. Now, once you've established that you understand that the horizontal line is the x-axis and the vertical line is the y-axis, and that where the two meet is the origin, here's a few things you need to know. 1, this right here is quadrant 1. What's a quadrant? What does the word quad mean? 4. Quad means 4. That is quadrant 1. Why do you think they call it quadrant 1? Because there's 4 sections, right? 4 quadrants. That's quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2. It goes counterclockwise. This is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. Okay, this is all stuff that is written at the top of page 548 for you. I'm just making it, I think, a little clearer than they have it, but it's still all there. Okay, you're going to need to know this. You need to know what the x-axis is, what the y-axis is, where the origin is, and then which one where the quadrants go. You're going to need to memorize this. Okay? Anyway, here's the deal. In the coordinate plane, okay, I can put a point anywhere that I want to. Okay? I can put a point anywhere that I want to. Let's just say that I want to put the point right here. I'm going to put a point right there. Using the coordinate plane, you can tell somebody exactly where that point is. Here's how you do it. You use what is called an ordered pair. And it looks like that. It goes like this. It goes X and then Y. Inside of parentheses, separated by a comma. You've done this before, I know. The X comes first, the Y comes second. What they're saying is that along this line right here, along the X-axis, where does that thing land? What number? It's what on the X-axis. Where does it land? 4, right? It lands at 4. Does that make sense? Along the x, it lands at 4. Along the y, where does it land? 2, right? Along the y, it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4. It lands at 2. So this point right here, the point that I am showing you right here, is 0.42. That's what that is. That's 0.42. Make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. Let's try another one. Let's try a different one. Let's try this point right here. Okay. Along the x-axis, I want no one to talk out. You must raise your hand and you must wait for me to call on you. Along the x-axis, where is that point? That purple point. Where is it along the x-axis? The x-axis meaning, what is the x-axis again? Show me. Where's the x-axis? It's this guy, right? You're going to go like this. This one, right? Along the x-axis, where does it go, Jared?
Wait, what's the question again?
Where does that point land along the x-axis?
4?
Nope.
Oh, no, in the middle.
Nope. It does not go land at 4. Where does it land, Miss Morgan? Nope. Where does it land, Mr. Sladen? -4. Along this guy here, along there, this is 0. That is -1, -2, -3. Where's that point right there? -4. Does that make sense? You must be able to differentiate between the x and the y. Right? The x is this guy. It's at -4 because right here is -4. And you look up and you just go and see, okay, it's at -4. Where is it along the y-axis? Kendall?
At
3. It's at 3, right? It goes 1, 2, 3, up 3. So that point is -4, 3. Does that make sense? No? It makes sense, right? I mean, it makes sense. Awesome. Okay. Where is this point right here? That point right there. Let's talk about it. The first one, what goes in here? What goes in there?
0.
What goes in there? It's the x, right? The x goes in there, right? Where? It's the x. What goes in here? The y, right? Okay, so listen. The first one, this in here, is where, just follow the instructions. Where is it along the x-axis? Where does this thing land along the x-axis? Caleb? 0. This guy is sitting right here. Don't you agree as we go down? I mean, it's sitting at what point is that? 0. Right? It's at 0. Where is it at along the y-axis? Dylan? -2. Right? It's down to -2. That point is 0, -2. This concept, people, you have to have. I mean, this is just your life in math from now on. I mean, like next year in pre-algebra, the year after that in algebra, the year after that geometry, algebra 2. This is the coordinate plane you have to get to know. So, just, you got to get to know it. This is what I want. I'm going to give you a few questions here, and you're going to tell me what points they're on, okay? Here we go. I'm going to give you a couple of them. There. I want you to tell me the points for A, B, C, D, E, and F. All right, so here it is. A. All you need to do here is look. I mean, where's my ruler? Okay, look. A. Along the x-axis, right, it goes like this. Every one of your answers have to look like this. All right, they all have to look like this. They're all a point on the coordinate plane. Do you understand what I'm saying? They all are a point on the coordinate plane. For A, where does it land on the x-axis? Is it over here? Is it like at 4? Is that, no, where does it land? 0. Right? It lands at 0. Where does it land on the y? That's here. Where does it land? It's 1, 2, 3, right? It's at 3. How many of you got 0, 3? Okay, good. B, where does it land on the x? Where does it land? Look, if this is 0, then this is
2.
If this is 0, then this is 1. Then this is 2. Oh, 2, right. So it's 2. And then for the y, it's up 1. Oh, 2, 1. How many of you got 2, 1 for B? Okay. Letter C. C is right here. Where is that thing on the x-axis? -1. It's not at 0. Where's it at on the x-axis? It's over 1, -1, remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1, -2, -1. Where is it at on the y? It's right at 0. It's in the center, right? How many of you have -1, 0? You didn't get that part? What'd you put? Do you understand? Letter D. Where's it at on the x? Where's D at on the x? Where's that? 1, right? It's over 1. It's simply over 1. So it's at 1. And where's it at on the y? Where's it at on the y? What's this? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. How many of you got that? 1, -5. Awesome. E. Where's it at on the x? What's right here? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. It's at -5 on the x. Where's it at on the y? What's this? -1, -2. Oh. How many of you got -5, -2? Make sense? Okay. F. Where is it at on the x? Oh, -1, -2, -3. -3. Where's it on the y? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does everybody understand? Does everybody understand? The only thing that could happen on your homework is that they may ask you to graph this on your own. They may say that you need to graph this, which means you'll need some graph paper. Okay? They say to graph these things on its own, on the same coordinate plane. So you will need to create your coordinate plane. You'll need to draw on graph paper and draw your coordinate plane. And then when they say this, when they say to do that, to graph it on the same coordinate plane, it means that for look at number on page 550. Look at number 12. Are you all on page 550? Number 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. They have A, B, C, D, E, and F. What are they saying when they say graph each point on the same coordinate plane? What are they talking about, Kendall?
They mean put it at the point and then just put A next to it.
Right, and put A. Just like I did up there before, you're just going to put the point on the same coordinate plane. Otherwise, for number 12, you might put it at, 1, 5. You may go 1, 5, and then, okay, that's number 12, right? You may go, okay, this is 1, 5. And then for 13, you have to draw a whole other coordinate. That's silly. Does that make sense? You would just simply go, A is here, and then B is -5, -3, which is right here. And so you go, B is here. You see what I'm talking about? Same coordinate plane. Question?
Does it have to be on graph paper?
Yes, it does have to be on graph paper. Read the directions, because a lot of the directions are very clear. Which way? On the coordinate plane, on a map, if I was to ask you this, I'm going to draw this here. Oh, come on, I can do better than that. Here we go. Let's just say this. Let's say I have a point right here, and I need to go to a point here. And these are city streets. And I was to say, okay, what would you do to go from point A to point B? You could say this. You could say, well, I went north 3 blocks and then east 1 block. Does that make sense? You should all know, right? If you don't know that, it's right there on your paper, on your homework page. You know, and you could say, okay, I went north 3 blocks and east 1 block, and I got there. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Other than that, I don't think that there should be any problem for you doing this. Make sure you read the instructions. Some of the time they ask you, what quadrant is this point in? Answer the question. I want you to answer the question. Yeah? Yes. Here's your assignment. Your assignment is going to be to do page 550 to 551, 4 through 30 even, and 36 to 38 even. You have a couple of days to get this done. Okay.